Welcome back to another episode of the No Name Podcast, brought to you by the Center for Teaching and Learning at Forsyth Technical Community College. I am your host, Sean Killebrew, and joining me today is Becky Howell, and she is a department chair for Behavioral and Social Sciences at Forsyth Tech. Welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So we've got some exciting stuff in the works. You've been hard at work over the last few weeks, months, I guess. How long have you been working on this project?
It's actually been 2 years.
2 years. Wow.
It takes a very long time to put a game together.
So the name of the game is?
Quest. And it's Lifespan Journey.
And so Lifespan Journey Quest, a web-based game that allows you to play through various characters and complete quests. And so what's kind of the purpose of the game?
It's to give our students an experiential approach to learning. It lets them go in and do something that they like doing, such as playing video games. And it teaches them some core concepts of the different age groups that we have in there. And so we have characters from 9 months old all the way up to people that are in their 80s. And so it kind of touches on each of the different stages of the lifespan.
Wow. And so you were directly involved in the creation of this game from concept, right?
Yes. Well, I started in the beginning. I was part of what they call a board of advisors for it and subject matter expert. And I wrote and designed 3 of the 14 quests.
Oh, wow. And you've also had your hand in some articles in a book, now a textbook that you're using in your classroom. What's that one called?
They're called Window on the World, and the textbook is Life, the Essentials of Human Development. And it is a textbook that is geared towards culture and geared towards the lifespan from a worldly perspective, not just from, what do you want to say, white America.
Okay. And so tell me about seeing your own work in your classroom. Is there something surreal to that, or?
Oh, it's pretty neat, actually. I was like, oh, you should read this particular article, giggling to myself that, I wrote it, so I know exactly what it's about. But we tie it in actually to what the students are doing. We'll have them read that article, then go find their own research and kind of tie it back. And this is where we go in and do some of the global stuff for our course, because this is a globalized course.
Okay. It's amazing at how much work you've accomplished, and in such a relatively short amount of time. I know it may seem like it takes a while, but looking back now, it's like, wow, that really didn't take that long.
It felt like it took a while.
A lot of work, a lot of headaches going into it, I suppose, huh?
It was a total learning experience because I'm not a gamer.
Yeah.
My children love to play games and they tease me because I'm not very good at it. But from the design perspective and on the other piece of it and providing the content and then watching it all come together, it was just really fun and totally out of the box for me, but it was a really good experience.
Now, I'd like you to share some of the images from the game, if you will. Would you mind doing that?
Sure. I can show you a little bit of the game.
It's so beautifully animated. I mean, the artists involved in creating the visuals for this did such a wonderful job.
They really did. The company that did this for us was Gear. Now, McGraw-Hill is the one that did the whole process of it, but Gear was the gaming company that did this.
So tell me about what we're seeing on the screen here.
Okay, so this is one of the ones that I created. This is Abby, who's 7 years old, and she is actually named after my 17-year-old daughter. And she is at a carnival, and she's going to go with her friends, and she's excited because her parents have allowed her to do a little bit sort of on her own. Now, her dad, of course, is following her in the background everywhere, but she feels like she's getting a little bit of independence, and she's going to go around to the carnival and try some of the different games. And the people that play this game are acting like they're 7 years old. So they have the capacity to do things as a 7-year-old would do.
That's great. And so different quests lead them through various, and they earn points, or they earn, what are the accomplishments like?
That's why I'm showing you right here. They can do achievements and they get different things for it. Like it may be kind of cranky because it's loading on a screen where I'm also doing video, but
yeah.
So you can see here, they have to complete objectives and they have different achievements that they do for the whole thing. where you can hear it's got a lot of music in the background. And this is just giving you an overview of what the game looks like and the different things that they can do within the game.
So this is such a great way to engage students of our, our times now. There's such a lot of students and people in general actually are avid gamers, whether it be on the mobile device or through the web. And so I think this is a great way to engage learners.
Yeah. It's a really neat way to engage. And Forsyth Tech got to be part of a variety of this. So I'm going to stop sharing. There we go. We actually were in the beta mode, and we tested this with our students before they put it live. This actually just went live in September, but we had access to it all spring and all summer and played it with all of our students. So all of our developmental psychology classes got to be part of that test.
Wow. So what's some of the feedback that you can recall?
The students loved it. They thought it was a really fun, neat way to learn some of the content. Now, of course, there's always going to be a little technical issues as they get started with it. And I'm using it with my students this semester too. And so we give them a few of those hints, like you need to play all of the objectives and be sure that you are, playing every piece of the game, and that, sometimes your decisions will influence whether or not you met the objective or not. But once they get the hang of it, they just love it. They think it's fun, and it's just a cool way. And so we incorporate the game into one of their discussion board questions and just talk about some of the decisions that they made in the game. And it all kind of ties nicely together. It's a fun, different way for them to engage with content. And it's been perfect with COVID going on because, of course, it's an online way for them to see a little bit of real world action.
Absolutely. And what a great way to play through scenarios and add critical thinking, and especially at a time now where you can't exactly leave or you may not want to. And so you sit down and play a game, and you're having fun, but you're also learning the content in a way that really, I would say, assimilates into your knowledge base. And so it becomes second nature at that point.
Yeah, and it's really fun to see them engage. Like they just finished the 9-month-old, because in my developmental psych class right now, we are moving on into childhood, but they just finished infancy. And just asking them the questions, what were you like as an infant? Talk to your parents, and can they tell you a little bit more about what you're like? And play as a baby. What is this baby able to do? It really lets them kind of tie it to their own lives, which of course is kind of my overall I guess I could say my overarching goal with all of my classes, is so that they can figure out how this applies to their life.
Absolutely. That's when it becomes lifelong learning too.
Yeah.
So talk to me about the articles. How did you get involved in writing those and getting them published in the textbook?
It's kind of funny. I was at one of these things where McGraw-Hill will send you to a conference that's a psych-related conference, and I was just talking to one of the folks and was telling him about my classes. And I have to give a plug in here to Carol Hayes, because she's the director of the Global Scholars Program, and I had just gotten through globalizing all of my classes. And so I was telling this fella about globalizing my classes and how important it was to have content that was outside of Winston-Salem, outside of, westernized America. And we got to talking, and he says, hey, will you write these articles for me? And we're going to put them in a textbook, and they're called Window on the World. And each one of them, again, is in the different chapters. There's one in every chapter of the textbook. And it's just bringing a little bit of culture into the book. And it's talking about, birthing from other countries' perspectives. And it goes into, like, there's one about autism and ADHD and how that relates to other cultures. Is it just an American thing, or is this everywhere? And there's one about wedding traditions, and it gets into some of the different traditions around the world. Same thing with funerals. Sorry, my cat is going to be rotten. But as a whole, it's really kind of a neat way to show students some interesting things about the world around them that they may never thought about.
And that's such an important part of getting the full experience. I mean, it's one thing to have your own, firsthand experience with life and how things are. But if you never get outside of your hometown, or you never get outside of the country even, you may not get the full perspective. And, certain things may not click the way that they should from that perspective. I've traveled overseas for various reasons with the military. And that was one of the biggest things, is the culture shock of seeing people from a completely different area, from a completely different background. And a lot of times they just want the exact same things.
Yeah. And that's what we're trying to show them, is that, okay, you hear all these terrible things on the news about this country or that country. And, you don't think about the beauty that's in that country, the people that are in that country, and how much they're similar to us, and what they do, and how their traditions influence their culture just like our own.
Yeah.
And, they may be different, sure, in some ways, but they're very much the same. Humanity we're all humans. Let's just put it that way. And it's kind of fun to see their eyes open up as they start studying that. In every one of our courses, they study at least 8 different cultures. Sometimes it's up to 25 in our online classes, where we have all of them coming into place.
Wow. That's truly a global course.
It is. And it's been great. And we've been evolving through this whole process, after just globalizing in the very beginning, and then just playing with it until we found kind of a nice sweet spot where they really get what they want out of the course, and they don't even know they want it yet, but they usually love it.
Wow. That's such great to see that, globalization of courses and really branching people out. Any final thoughts as we sort of transition to the close here?
I mean, my only big thing with all of this is that if you can find a way to engage your students in the world around us, and to open their eyes to a bigger society, and find fun ways to bring out your content, then I highly recommend doing so. There's a lot of different possibilities out there. And even if you're not a game designer, I'm not, you can still be involved in it, and you can see it come to fruition. It's been a really amazing adventure with this.
That is really fantastic. And I actually would love to explore the game a little bit more. I like playing video games, but I like the learning aspect of them, going through the quests and seeing the different characters' perspectives and things like that. And just to reiterate, it's McGraw-Hill, but it's Quest: Journey Through the Lifespan.
Yes.
It's exciting. And we'll put a link up for people to be able to explore this game. And then if they would like to integrate it into their courses, how should they go about doing that?
Well, they can certainly ask me about it, or they can contact McGraw-Hill. Now, this one is specific to developmental psychology, but if they are any kind of relation to it at all, they certainly could get part of the content put into their courses as well.
Okay. Any game development on the horizon? Any sequels to this one?
Not yet. That's what I said. This just got published in September. It's actually just official this month. So we've been, as I said, playing with it since January of last year within our classes, but now it's open to everybody. So gotcha. It's pretty cool. I'm hoping that we'll be able to come up with another really cool project. I did write an app that I sent to Dr. Spriggs, and I'd love to see that come to fruition, but that's not a game like this. It's an app that has to do with my other class, positive psychology.
Okay. And you wrote the app. Did you program, code it and everything, or?
I didn't code it. I just gave all of the ideas of what I would love to see in it. But again, I have all the creative ideas. I don't have the technical expertise to put it all together. I'm not a coder.
Well, that's why we have a great team.
Exactly. So I'm hoping that will also go through too, because that would go right along with what we're going to do in the spring with Thrive. So employee development program that we're starting. John Howell and I are going to be running this in the spring. So.
Oh, well, we're looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you for joining me today. I am so excited to see all of the projects that you've put out, and the form of video games, but as well as your accomplishments in your classroom. Well, that'll do it for another No Name podcast. Again, I'm your host, Sean Killebrew, and joining me today was Becky Howell. Thank you again, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you for having me.